Hello, my name is Mark Parrish, and I will be going over the American juvenile system and why I believe the juvenile crime law is one of the best evolutions in law history. So, what is the American juvenile system? Well, when we refer to a juvenile, these are minors that commit crimes, usually aged between 10 years of age to 18 years of age, depending on the state. So the American juvenile law is it relies on primary systems which mainly deals with all of the cases involving youths and how they are even convicted for criminal offenses. This is mainly taking into account their age. The system comprises the federal court with other separate courts in independent states, local jurisdictions, and territories. In this aspect, the state and federal government share power under the universal authority of the United States Constitution. The juvenile crime law is the law I had chosen to talk about today because it deals with underage individuals who are treated differently than adults in criminal law. So, what this focuses on, this law at play, it intervenes in the delinquent behavior through which the police court and their correctional involvement while dealing with the goal of minor rehabilitation. Due to ideological changes in the cultural conception of children and the strategies of social control during the 19th century, it led to the establishment of the first juvenile court in Cook County, Illinois, in fact, when it culminated a century-long process of distinguishing youths from adult offenders due to their age. This was a progressive way with a new theory of social control to new ideas about childhood and creating the juvenile court as a social welfare alternative to criminal courts to handle the crimes and non-criminal misconducts committed by minors. So to take a blast to the past, we're looking at past punishments before the juvenile system. So in the 18th and 19th century, the courts punished and confined the youth in jails and prisons. So they were treated the same as a 40-year-old man, a 20-year-old man, even if they were 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. So that's pretty harsh in this kind of light now that we look at it from today's standpoint. At that time, there were very few options that existed while handling youth, so they pretty much just got treated like any other adult, which is very harsh. Minors of all ages were indiscriminately confined and hardened with adult offenders, like they literally shared cells, whether they be mentally ill, murder. They were put in the same cells as any adult with any crimes committed. The youths were being confined together, and there really was no other option. They really just treated it the same. They didn't have all of the systems and channels that we have today with law, where every aspect is looked over carefully. It really was just looked at as, hey, they're just like everybody else. But in 1967, the juvenile justice system came to light. The lack of formal and proper constitution process led to the establishment of the juvenile justice system to counter the potential for deprivation. Because back in the days before the juvenile justice system came to light, they didn't even have a right to an attorney. They literally had no legal defense other than them talking to a judge. And if they were uneducated, they were going to get a bad sentence. I mean, that's what it means when they're talking about deprivation, because they really were deprived of resources, even more than an adult was, which I feel was very unjust. So the importance of the juvenile crime law, it's very important because the minors were too young to be held accountable for criminal behavior, and the juvenile law systems were set to handle these offenders. due to age being taken into account. This law aimed to focus on rehabilitation of the young individuals and not necessarily punish them, but use a method of rehabilitation to try to create a long-term effect rather than a short-term and reoffending citizen. So the rehabilitation process seems to be very effective because some juveniles aren't even charged with jail time or anything of that sort. They mainly just go to a juvenile facility catered to that age group and they get rehabilitated. So I feel that they deserve that good shot at life because of their age. Now, I'm not justifying murder or those types of crimes. I do believe that they should be tried as adults, just like before the juvenile system was put in place. I do feel they deserve it at that point because murder is something you learn about at a very, very young age, younger than teenhood. So I believe that those are not justifiable. But what I'm referring to is maybe drug substances because of peer pressure in the environments because they are most prone to it. I also feel theft and things of that sort can be rehabilitated. I just feel that the right lesson needs to come along. So in conclusion, the juvenile crime law is very important and essential for today's youth. It gives people another chance at life and not just shutting them down right out of the gate and making them have the struggles of an adult. I do feel that they need to learn the lessons that are given, but I do feel that certain crimes need to be taken into account with the age group just because of the way that the crimes are committed and the statistical standpoint looking at what age does do it and why it's so prominent. Fixing it for the long term with rehabilitation is the best effect, and this is what evolution of law is all about, making it more efficient for everyone to be safer. So thank you very much. That concludes my presentation.